All right, welcome to the Dales Report, and happy to be joined with the CEO of WonderFi. Ben Samaru joins us. Ben, how are things?
Hey, Shad, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm excellent. So great to have you obviously on the show. I've heard a lot about the company, garnering a lot of interest, but how are things been recently just with trying to get the company going public in the near future? I assume it's been very, very busy.
Yeah, things have been great. We're definitely on a war-path to execute on our mission, which is bringing this new financial innovation of DeFi to the masses. So it's been a really exciting year, and things are off to a great start.
That's great. Well, let's find out about this new innovation, WonderFi, a new decentralized finance crypto platform. It's garnering a lot of attention, as I said, not only from the crypto investment community, but also many high-profile accredited investors as well. So before we get into that, let's first get a true understanding of the platform and how it aims to compete with the traditional financial system by offering a cost-competitive and faster way to conduct business.
Sure, that sounds great. So, like I said, really the mission of the company is to bring this new financial innovation to the masses. And just to give the background, the problem with DeFi right now, there's a ton of potential, but we're really in the very, very early stages of DeFi. So can't emphasize that enough. The space is really fragmented. It's overly complicated, and there's a very steep learning curve, tons of obstacles for people that want to get in. So just like any early technology, it's a lot of technical expertise that's needed to access this. And so it's really preventing wider adoption. And there's no one trusted platform that makes it easy for people to use. And what we're seeing is platforms that are catering towards power users. And so you're getting further and further away from something that's accessible to your average consumer. And so for something like decentralized finance, which is meant to be something that democratizes access to finance, that's a big problem. So our platform—
How big of a problem is that, Ben?
Yeah, so I think it's massive. It's really the whole thesis behind decentralized finance is we want to use this great technology to provide better, faster, more secure access to people, regardless of where you're located or what your background or kind of demographic is. And right now, it's really you need to have that technical expertise to access it. And so it's really kind of locking DeFi into like a very specific group, which is people that have been in crypto for some time and kind of have that knowledge and expertise. So what we're doing with the platform is we're setting out to be a gateway to this new financial system and really leveling the playing field and becoming the trusted gateway for this new financial system.
Makes sense. Well, you had mentioned technology expertise. Talk a little bit about your background and what you bring to the table and why this, again, is garnering a lot of attention.
Yeah, for sure. So our team, we're primarily engineers. We've got an excellent team that we've put together. Our engineering team comes from all the blue chip companies like Amazon, PayPal, Hootsuite, etc. And our founding team has been in the blockchain and crypto space since 2016, and we've got a good track record. So we're seeing, we're able to attract a lot of great engineering talent into the company, and really it's because the message and the mission are really there, and everybody sees the problem. So we're really excited about that, and we're kind of set up to really to kind of bring this to market and help democratize access to finance. That's the goal.
You're going for it, huh, brother?
Yeah, it's now's the time.
Exactly. So in addition to what you just outlined, what type of services will then be available on the platform?
Yeah, so the services on the platform, it really all comes down to what when we talk about DeFi, there's a lot of technical jargon. I think it's best to just hone in on like what value does DeFi present. And so with our platform, it's about getting access to assets and then being able to earn interest on those assets. So
Gotcha.
we're really kind of honing in on those two features right off the bat. And I think there's a lot of, there's a lot of barriers for people getting into the crypto space. And so we're really just kind of, simplifying that process and kind of taking out all of the additional information and technicalities that are, quite frankly, a huge barrier for people that want to get involved and are interested, but it's just too much for them at this point.
Makes sense. A big component towards opening an account when the platform does go live will be setting up a crypto wallet, which many consumers have no experience doing. So how easy will the sign up process be? And how do you intend to, I guess, change the perception that using and managing a crypto wallet requires technological savvy?
Yeah, this is a really important piece. It's probably the single largest barrier to people getting into crypto.
Yep.
So we've integrated and tested a wide variety of different wallets, and while we do support all major wallets to make sure that people that have wallets already have a streamlined experience, we have a simplified experience with a particular wallet that we've identified. It's super simple. You can just link it to an existing Google or Facebook or other major social account. No need to manage your keys or passwords.
Oh, wow.
And so in our experience, and I think you get this as well, as like as we're doing user testing,
Yeah.
it's really showing that this is a game changer for people with no.
What's the feedback been like?
Yeah, the feedback. So initially, when we were going through kind of the more traditional workflow that you see on a lot of crypto platforms, it was just a huge amount of user drop off when people were going through these more complicated wallets. And then when we started to flow people into a simpler wallet flow where they don't have to manage the back end of things, it's been great. People don't see it as a barrier any longer. And so,
great.
and it makes sure they don't need to, know the intricacies of the technology. And so I think the market's sort of shifting that way, where you have, with your early adopters, everybody wants to drill down and understand every nuance of the technology. And then with this kind of early majority crowd, which is what we're focused on, there's less of a need or a desire to know the underpinnings, but just to know that they're working with a secure platform and a trusted interface.
Which is big, obviously, in the crypto space, because let's face it, this industry does come with scrutiny for sure. And, there's a lot of compliance hurdles, I would assume, you have to overcome with traditional finance. So if so, what are they, and how do you, I guess, plan to steer clear of the regulatory scrutiny of it all?
Yeah, so a bit of context.
It may not be an answer that you can answer right now, but I'm
sure
that's
okay. It's a great question, and my personal background has been bringing crypto products to market in regulated environments, and in a previous life I was a securities lawyer, and so this definitely is a very it hits close to home for sure, and it's an exciting it's an exciting time when you have an innovation like this. And we saw this with crypto in 2017, and when we started to first see engagement with regulators. But I'll back up a bit, like a bit of context of where the DeFi market is right now, to just sort of paint the picture on regulation. So it's a $60 billion market currently. Again, like we're in the super early stages,
and that's just the beginning.
It's the tiny sliver. Like we're not even in the first inning. And so this technology has the potential to disrupt finance, which is the biggest industry in the world. And we're still using legacy technology that was built decades ago. So it's a multi-trillion-dollar market. And
wow.
There's just like we've seen with Bitcoin, there's resistance from incumbent financial institutions and regulators as they grapple with new technologies like this.
Of course.
And there's the same resistance with things like the internet when that was first being rolled out, and the new legal implications that it raised. And so I think what we see, time and time again, is eventually the better technology will win. And so with DeFi, we see, a cheaper, faster, easier way to do finance. And so on the regulatory side, it's all about engagement with the regulators. I think crypto's always seen initial resistance from regulators and traditional financial institutions. But we've seen a lot of progress that's been made with Bitcoin, which has really paved the way for things like decentralized finance. And and then for us, really, it's being able to do it out in the public markets with full transparency about our technology, our financials, our goals and mission of the company and strategy. I think that is it's very helpful, and we're also engaged a lot with education, with banks, insurers, like other stakeholders, to help get up to speed on the technology. So it's a slow process, but it's one that's definitely worthwhile and needed.
Well, it's exciting to see the industry. You can really tell it's gone mainstream, especially this year alone. A lot of big name celebrities becoming influencers. You look at the China landscape, a lot of Bitcoin mining now focusing on the US, they think, over the next year. So it's interesting to see how things will unfold here in North America. When you outline some of these numbers, obviously the opportunity is big. And when I look at the competition in this space, you have a tremendous opportunity here. There are a few, if any, established competitors, and none that I can think of that actually are publicly traded. So what's your take on that? And do we look at you already as being a leader in the space, knowing that, let's face it, you're a company that's just getting started?
So I would say definitely. So the space is very new. There's a lot of good talent building at the protocol level in the space. And so I think what we're seeing is, again, primarily people that are building for the DeFi community. And that's really needed, but it's not where we're positioned. So it's, there's a great need for, bringing this technology sort of more, more to an accessible, retail mainstream kind of user base. So the existing platforms, I wouldn't categorize them as competitors. Okay. While what they're doing is very important, but I wouldn't categorize them as direct competitors. There's a couple of
Why do you say that?
Their target market is a lot different. Okay. And so as new kind of innovations and products and protocols come out in DeFi, the existing platforms, what they're doing is they're serving power users who want to have, the next up-to-date thing the day that it comes out. And so we're very different because our target market, which is, somebody who doesn't have experience with crypto or DeFi, they don't care about, the latest thing that came out last week. It's more about like, what's secure, what's a trusted way that I can access some of the benefits of this new financial system. And so it's more about kind of a simplified, streamlined, curated experience for them. And then on the public company side, so there's a couple of companies in the DeFi space that are publicly traded, but they're more like holding companies that hold assets or have minority investments in other companies in the space, which is great, but less of an operating business than a holding company. And so with WonderFi, the difference with us is like we're building a trusted brand. We're really focusing on the mission of democratizing finance, and we're doing that through first through our platform, but our plans with the company really extend far beyond the platform. I think we're looking to get involved with financial institutions and other licensed entities. I think those types of collaboration are really needed to help bring this technology to the masses, and so that's sort of where we see the future of our company going.
Well, big learning curve for sure for traditional ways of doing things. You need leverage. And I said earlier that this company is garnering a lot of interest. Your lead strategic investor is KevinO'Leary. So walk me through, how did the two of you align, include me in that conversation? What was the message that made him say, I want to be part of this company, I want to invest, knowing that he only invests in one company per industry?
Yeah, for sure. So I'll give a bit of background on how Kevin came into the picture, as you asked. And so he became a Bitcoin supporter relatively recently, as many people know. And a lot of his focus has been around advocacy for ethical Bitcoin mining and sustainability, which I think is a fantastic message. And so, we were following along with what Kevin was doing and having a lot of, he was having a lot of conversations with people in the industry around sustainable mining practices. And we've got a really strong investor base with companies, leading companies in the space that we've worked with and supported, like in our last 5 or 6 years, our founding team. One of those companies was Argo blockchain.
Okay.
And so they're part of the Bitcoin Mining Council, which is really around the sustainability of mining. And they participate in those conversations, got connected with Kevin, and Peter Wall, who's the CEO of Argo, sort of said to Kevin, "Hey, I'm invested in this great DeFi company." And so wow. Kevin's group reached out, and we had some we had some really great conversations. We learned more about what his perspective was, and it really kind of resonated with us. And I think we realized pretty quickly that we had a shared view that DeFi is the next big thing, and it does have the potential to be green, democratized, and sustainable. And it will be the biggest area of finance in the next 5 to 10 years. So for us, it's super exciting because Kevin, in a lot of ways, maybe aside from his net worth, like he's our target user, really, because he's not a crypto expert, he's not an engineer, he's interested and engaged, and he wants to see value in being able to earn interest on his assets and do it in a really easy way. So it's a really exciting partnership for us, and and happy to share more on that.
Yeah, that's great. What was it like, presenting in front of them? Do you feel like you're on Shark Tank?
Yeah, definitely much more pleasant than you would expect based on what you've seen on Shark Tank. I think he had just a ton of great ideas, and the thing with Kevin is, like you said, he picks one company per sector. We're the company that he picked, and like for context, he in the psychedelic space as an investor, he picked Mindmed, and really got behind the vision of JR and the team there. And I know you're very familiar with the company. He's been super engaged, and is supporting us in a lot of different ways with different relationships that he's bringing to the table and ideas. That's led to some great opportunities. And actually one of those, which I can share, you'll be one of the first to hear about it, but we've now brought in a really big name in crypto, probably one of the I would call him a crypto icon, who's built FTX, which is one of the largest crypto exchanges in the world, and most technologically advanced as well. And so the founder and CEO of FTX his name is SamBankman-Fried, and he's now an investor. Yeah, so he's now an investor. Huge. and we're super excited about that, and it's a very strategic move for us. I think there's a lot of things that
you got Josh Richards too. It's credible.
We've got Josh Richards too, for sure, on the social media side, and Josh is Josh is a super impressive individual, and the more I learn about him and get to speak with him, it's really, really incredible to see what he's built. So we've got
big audience on YouTube.
Big audience, and I mean, it's so impressive to see somebody, not to make it about age, but to see somebody that age, to see what he's built, and how he's moving into all these different endeavors to create value in different ways, and things that he's interested in it's really inspiring. And so with Josh, he's got a keen interest in finance and personal finance, so there was a lot of kind of alignment there with getting him in as a strategic investor of WonderFi.
It's incredible, the younger audience. I sometimes feel like I'm 25, I'm 45, but then I see I'm getting around 25-year-olds. I realize, no, I'm 45, but fascinated by the way they educate and how much information that they know and the content they're reading on a daily basis. It's incredible, just doing things differently. And I think if you fully embrace an opportunity and technology and the opportunities that can bring, there's just so much opportunity out there to grow.
I couldn't agree with you more, and I feel the same. Like I'm a millennial. I think we're not that far off in age, but the Gen, I think we probably see the Gen Z demographic the same, where it's kind of like it is a lot different, and they look at things a lot differently, and so
And that's okay.
and that's okay. And I think it just needs to be embraced, because as much as we want to say, oh, this doesn't make sense, NFTs don't make sense, TikTok doesn't make sense, it doesn't matter if we don't think it makes sense, because it's there and it's very real.
It makes sense to
And
them. That's what's normal to them, right? And where you get
yeah,
20 years, I don't want to think about 20 years for me from now, but 20 years from now, they're going to be in the prime of their careers. And what's going to be normal to them? You got to embrace it.
yeah, exactly. And I think the mentality of a lot of people is like, oh, this is just silly young, younger generation. But we've seen that story before, and I think it's something that can't be ignored. And so I think it's also like the trends with millennials, with Gen Z. It's a lot of self-directed investors, people using mobile to deal with their money. And so it's really hard to ignore that there's this growing desire to sort of self-manage. There's a distrust and lack of favor of traditional financial institutions, and or not a distrust, but like the relationship is changing. And so we're seeing that. Yeah, exactly. And so we're seeing that in this market, and this technology is not going away. It's going to have a significant impact on personal finance, and it's going to be guys like Josh that are the mouthpiece for that generation. So it's super interesting.
Well, for you to accrue all these big time investors, strategic investors, influencers already within your company, one of the things I have to bring up is the success that you've established in the past. Back in 2017, you sold a company that you founded to Galaxy Digital, which is a financial services and investment management company in the crypto space. Excuse me. It also has a big presence in the institutional world. So saying that, when you tie all that stuff in, did that play a factor into, I guess, attracting some of these people like Kevin, Josh, and some of your other accredited investors?
Yeah, so myself and then Kong and Kartik, who are two of the other co-founders of the company, we were part of the First Coin Capital team, which, as you mentioned, sold to Galaxy in 2018. And I think the experience we got through that process was really invaluable. It was at a very important time in the crypto market in 2017. Things were really ramping up. There was a lot of exposure to bringing Bitcoin to the masses, and a whole bunch of other stuff within crypto. And so we got exposed to a lot. We learned a lot of lessons there, and I think the biggest lesson that we learned was focus. And in crypto, especially in hot markets like this, it is very easy to get distracted, and there's new things coming out every day. And so what we did some things well with First Coin, and then we also learned some things where we could, there was room for improvement. And so what we set out here was, let's find the biggest problem, the one that we think is really going to help bring this to the masses, and let's just laser focus on that. And so I'd say that's been sort of the biggest takeaway and benefit from that experience for us, aside from kind of relationships and things that have come out of that. But that focus part, it's so key. And I think we're really grateful to have had that experience, because it really sets us up well to execute on our plan here. And it's also tied us in with a lot of people that we've brought onto like our board of directors and into our investing group that are, supportive of the company, and that have, founded, grown, scaled, sold companies in the crypto space, like Hut 8, which is, the biggest Bitcoin mining operation in North America, and, some other, big names like Argo Blockchain, which I mentioned, Big Digital, just some really great sort of advisors and board that's supporting us and kind of helping us to keep focused and carry out our objective.
That's great. Well, your early Series A financing round, sold out in a matter of days, if I'm correct. So let's bring this all together. You're currently in beta mode and you're working towards becoming a public company. So what are we looking at timeline wise as to when you're thinking of going public?
Yeah, for sure. So I've talked about the platform for for the average consumer and kind of our target market. The platform right now, you can go to wonder.fi to sign up for the platform, which will be launched in Q3. That will line up with our public listing on the Neo in Q3 this year. So we're a short ways away. And so our in a short number of weeks, you'll be able to go out and buy WonderFi stock and use the WonderFi platform to access DeFi in the way that I've described, in a really simple, streamlined way.
That's great.
Yeah.
Keep up the great work. This is exciting. Be looking forward to having you back on as we continue this conversation going. But great work. Keep it up, and let's keep in touch.
Awesome. Thanks so much for your time, Chad.
All right. Thanks, Ben.